Welcome everybody. Today, this is not going to be a presentation, this is a workshop, so we are going to do real stuff here. I have an environment of Microsoft Active Directory with one Microsoft server, and we are going to migrate completely to Zentyal. First of all, before doing this, we have the first part of the presentation is theory about things that we need to know before accomplish this. And there are a lot of components and terminology here, so please, I would like this workshop to be event-driven. So if you have any question at any time, just raise your hand and I will be your interrupt controller, okay? And, well, let's start. Probably all of everybody here know what Active Directory does, but what Active Directory is in reality. An Active Directory, we can define it with as a big cooking pot, where Microsoft threw all those protocols here: dynamic DNS, Kerberos for authentication, Ldap, file sharing, RPC, and make them work together. Well, this is not a very accurate definition, but we can say that Active Directory is a distributed database of objects that represent physical or abstract entities in our company, organized in a hierarchical way. They are organized in a hierarchical way. So we have containers. The top level container is the forest. Inside forest, we have domain containers that you will probably hear about them as domain trees. They are domain containers. Within domain containers, we have organizational units, and inside organizational units, we have plain objects. Some example of objects that we can find inside the containers. For example, user objects, groups, computers, sites, and more abstract objects like subnets, also schema objects for the Active Directory schema. Well, we are going to talk about some of them, and we are going to do it in the opposite order, from the leaf of the tree to the root. And to make this less boring, we are going to be switching between the theory and the practice. I will show you into the Active Directory Ldap tree some examples of these objects, because the distributed database that we have talked before is in fact an Ldap database, accessible on port 389 by any standard Ldap client. So we are going to start with the first one. Organizational units are like drawers that let you arrange the objects in a way that fit your organizational requirements. For example, you can create an organizational unit for each department inside your organization, or for each floor of the building. That doesn't matter. It's just a way of arrange objects. We are going to see, for example, we are going to open the Ldap client. This is not going to be very comfortable, but okay. This is the Ldap client. It's included with Windows Server. So connect to localhost on port 389. Okay, this is the Ldap root DCE, and we have to bind before perform any search. And we are going to open the domain partition. And for example, I have here the marketing organizational unit. This is the Ldap entry of the organizational unit. Here in the class of the object, we can see organizational unit with the name. Okay. Next one, domains. A domain is a collection of objects that are defined by the system, but it's also a container. It's a container that is a collection of predefined objects created by the system that share a database and a security policy. Here, we are going to have a look at the domain container. This is our domain container. The object class here is domain and domain DNS, and it has a lot of attributes. Which make domains special is that every domain has a DNS name. A DNS name because Active Directory is really tight with DNS, and Active Directory doesn't work without DNS because all the clients use it to locate to find the domain controller for the domain to which they are joined. And also we have to note that a domain controller is authoritative for one and only one domain. That means that we can have two domains installed on the same domain controller. It's the opposite. We can have various domain controllers inside for a domain, but in a computer we can have two domains installed. Domain trees is a hierarchical collection of domains with the property that the DNS namespace is continuous. So we can have at the root Zentyal.lan, and we can create a child domain that is marketing.zentyal.lan. Another subdomain from marketing that, I don't know, child1.marketing.zentyal.lan. And when you create subdomains, there's a special a process that the relationship is created between the parent domain and the child domain. It's a transitive trust relation. So if we have three domains chained, and this is A, B, and C, if A trusts B and B trusts C, that means that A trusts C. So a user, in the practice, this means that a user can log on and access to all of the other domains transparently. So we have here an example of three domain trees. This is 1, 2, 3. We have the parent-child trusts between the parent domains and the child domains, and the tree-root trusts are established between the root of the trees. Each tree has its own namespace. So inside the forest, that is the top container, a forest is a full instance of Active Directory. So this, for example, we can have three domain trees. This, for example, could be Zentyal.lan, but this can be, I don't know, for domain1.com and domain2.com. All of them are inside the forest, but have different namespaces, DNS namespaces. And for last, forests are complete instances of Active Directory that share some information between all the domain and domain trees. They share the forest configuration and the schema of the directory. If we come here to the virtual machine again, here we can see when we connect, we can see that configuration and schema are global to the forest. So this partition, this part of the Ldap tree, is replicated to all of the domain controllers inside the forest. Also, all domain trees, as we have seen, are connected through transitive trust. That is the tree-root trust that we have seen before, and you can also define trust between forests. For example, this is a complete instance of an Active Directory, and this is a complete instance. You can define a trash between the forest root. This is the first domain installed inside your forest is automatically the forest root, and it has special properties. You should be very careful with this domain because, for example, the schema administrators and enterprise administrators are here. So if you lose this domain controller, there will be problems for sure. So just quick notes about sites. Sites are represent physical locations of your company. So, for example, you have two offices, one in Madrid and another in Barcelona. You can create 2 sites in Active Directory, establish the network of those sites, create the subnet object assigned to the site, and put the domain controllers inside the site. Why? What is the utility of doing this? Is because there is a process that is run each 15 minutes in each domain controller that is called the KCC, the knowledge consistency check, that uses this information to establish the replication topology of the Active Directory. It establishes links between the sites and inside the site, between all the domain controllers inside the site, and between all the sites defined in your forest to replicate the information. And before this, I think this is just our global vision of Active Directory, but there are still some concepts that we have to know before we decide to migrate. First, the FSMO, the Flexible Single Master Operation. There are some roles in Active Directory that are assigned to one and only one domain controller. Active Directory is a multi-master. It uses the multi-master replication model, but still there are operations that must be performed by only one domain controller, are critical operations. There are 2 roles at forest level and 3 roles at domain level. These roles are forest-wide. We have the schema master, is the domain controller that is able to update the Active Directory schema. And the domain naming master is the domain controller which is able to create and delete and move domains inside the DNS hierarchy. At domain level, we have the PDC emulator that is used as a point of contact for legacy clients, NT4. And it also processes password changes to be applied from the clients to be applied on all domain controllers in the domain. So the password change is applied immediately. The read master is all security objects in Active Directory has a number assigned. That is the object sheet that starts with S. It's a very long number. The last part of this number, between the last part after the last dash, is the relative ID, the RED. Each domain controller has a pool of this number, 500 reads by default. So when it gets when it runs out of this number, it contacts the read master. Hey, give me another pool. And infrastructure master is maintain reference to objects in another domains. So it queries a special part of the Ldap tree, that is the global catalog, that is it contains all the objects of the forest, but with only a small subset of attributes. You can choose when you promote a domain controller to host the global catalog on this server or not. We have to know also the sysvol share is where part of the growth policies are stored. There are one part that are stored in Ldap, and the other part is stored in the sysvol share. If we come here to the Ldap browser, we can see inside the configuration. Where is it? I don't remember where are the group policies in the Ldap tree. It's really big. I think it's here. Policies here. Here it is. Here we have the default domain policy and the default domain controllers policy with the path to the sysvol share where the files for this group policy is. So this share is important because it must be replicated to all domain controllers in order to the group policies to be applied properly. So to replicate the sysvol share, Microsoft has two protocols, the distributed file system replication and file replication service. The second one is being deprecated today, and neither of them are supported by Samba today. So what Zentyal does to synchronize the sysvol is when you join a Zentyal machine to a domain, you have to write the name of a domain current domain controller. So we pull through SMB protocol the sysvol share, and we have a cron job that runs this script each a random time about 15 minutes, and is pulling the sysvol content from there. But it's pulling in one way, so it's important to know that if you made modifications to the domain group policy settings, you have to do it in the root of the chain. So if you join to a Windows machine, you have to modify the group policies there, because otherwise it is not going to work. Samba 4.1 has there are things that are going on, but about replication, as we have said, sysvol replication is not implemented yet. Trust are not Samba can be trusted, but cannot trust to another domains. What this means is that you can have one and only one domain inside the forest. So you can create only one domain that will be the forest root and the domain tree root, but only one. And GPOs and Samba serve the files through the sysvol share, but all the GPO features that require server-side processing is not supported. So, for example, limit the password policy for a specific user. For example, this is not supported. I think that this is called WBME filtering in Microsoft Windows Server. So, hands-on, we are going to perform an upgrade. Here in the environment, I have 4 virtual machines. This is the gateway of our network, a Microsoft Windows Server, a client, and the Zentyal server. So the first step is configure. I have all the modules installed, but Samba is not yet enabled. So we are going to join to the domain. This is the first step. We have to write the IP address of a domain controller. Save change. And enable the module. We are going to see what's going on behind the scene. I don't know if it can be read properly. What is it? A ver, que no veo nada. Okay, better. Okay, I see the mistake. Okay, so we have enabled the module, save change. Here, we are joining to the domain after perform some checks for to check if our server is properly configured and avoid problems. Now we have been joined to the domain. We have ourselves as a holder of the domain DNS zones and forest DNS zones partition. We are waiting for our read pool to be allocated because otherwise we can't create objects inside the domain, in this domain controller. We run also the knowledge consistency check to establish the replication topology. We establish some mappings between Samba users and system users. And the last one, we restart the DNS module to load the zone. And that's all. We have joined to the domain. Some useful commands, for example, if we want to check that replication is working properly, we have the command Samba tool drs show replication. We can see that there are inbound connections and outbound connections for all domain for the different partitions. And if we want to check, we have talked about the operation masters. So if we want to see which is the owner of each role, we have the command fn flexible master show, and all of them are assigned to the Windows machine because it was the only domain inside the only domain controller. So now we have to transfer those roles to Zentyal and ensure that the sysvol share is also synchronized before we can remove the Windows server. We can use a demote in the Windows server because it fails when it tries to replicate the forest DNS and domain DNS zones, so we will have to do it manually. We have a script that is in user share Zentyal Samba that is going to help us. This script is included with Zentyal Samba. What this script is going to do is first synchronize the sysvol share and transfer all the roles to the local Zentyal machine. So if we run the script, we synchronize the sysvol share and transfer all the roles to the local Zentyal server. Done. If we check again, all the roles are assigned to us. So at this point, if we want to remove the Windows server, we have to make the clients point to the Zentyal machine. So we are going to modify the DHCP settings. And we are going to assign the primary name server to the local Zentyal server. And say changes. If we don't do this and just disconnect the Windows machine, the clients will not be able to find the domain controller for the domain. So now in the client, we are going to refresh the configuration. Okay, we are pointing to Zentyal. Okay, and okay, at this point we will just come through our Windows machine from the window. Goodbye. Now there are the last step is to clean the metadata, because we have just powered off the server. There are objects inside the Active Directory. For example, the replication links that should be removed, and also clean the DNS, because if we try to log in with a user now in the client, probably it's going to take a lot of time, because the DNS records still exist inside the domain zone. So if the client if the client thinks that its domain controller is the Windows machine, is powered off, so it's not going to work. So here we have to, I have the domain administration tools installed in this machine. My hard disk is on fire. Okay. Hello. I think the resolution change doesn't like it. Okay. Administrative tools. Where is it? Active Directories, items, service. We are going to remove the replication links between the domain controllers. So here we can see that we are connected to the Zentyal domain controller. We are administering the domain from a Windows machine with these tools. So we remove this link, the server inside the site, and we also have to remove the object inside the users and computers organizational unit. Here, domain controllers, we delete the Windows machine. Okay, and the last step is to clean the DNS. This is really important. If the DNS is not properly configured, we are going to have a lot of problems with Active Directory. So we have to search over all the domain. We can start changing the primary name server from the Windows machine to Zentyal. Okay. So we have to remove all the record that points to the remove server. For example, these ones. This is going to, there are a lot of them, a lot. These, for example, are used to locate the global catalog, the Cabrero server for authentication. Here in the zone, this special zone that is used by domain controllers to communicate between them, we are going to change the primary name server. Remove everything that points to the Windows machine. Okay. And I can find more. So And that's all. If we log off, oops, log off, we can see that all the user has been replicated to the Zentyal server. Here we can find all the organizational units that are supported since Zentyal 3.2, the domain computers, and all the groups. So now we are able to log in with any user in the client computer without any problem. And that's all. Just to ensure that we haven't DNS registers, we can dump the zone from here and just to check that there are not records pointing to the, well, we have here more records, but the migration is done now. So if we remove the remaining record, and that's it, we have completely migrated from Microsoft to Zentyal. So going back to the presentation, I think, any questions? I think I have here the microphone.
Okay, a pair of questions. First, do you think you don't only have one computer or two, you have many hundreds, so you need a tool to make it to migrate all desktops. So do you use a script, or maybe it's better to flush all the information and then forcing the desktop to update the new configuration of the new controller?
You mean where in the last step, metadata cleanup, right?
Yes.
Well, the client, the unique thing that you have to do in the client is to change the DNS to point to the Zentyal machine. That's the only one you can do it in the DHCP. If you have a lot of domain controllers, I don't know, you have 3 domain controllers, you could write a script to remove all this data from Active Directory, writing the name. If you know where is the object located in Active Directory, that, for example, that we have done, delete the domain replication link, is an object inside Active Directory. If you know where is it located, you could write a script. We haven't done it yet. Maybe in the future we will write. And for the DNS, it's exactly the same. You have a Samba tool from the command line Samba tool DNS. You can manage the domain zone, so it would be perfectly possible to write a script.
Okay, thank you.
You have more questions?
Okay.
No sé si le has contestado a él más o menos qué problema habéis tenido, no sé si le has hecho a propósito limpiar cuando has limpiado todo el rastro del controlador de dominio de Windows para dejar Zentyal. Es decir, que le has hecho a propósito para que veamos el rastro que había quedado y eliminarlo, o Zentyal ya obviamente cuando haces la migración ya directamente hace la limpieza.
No la hace. No la hace. La zona está almacenada dentro de la base de datos de Active Directory, y Binz utiliza un plugin, una librería dinámica que se carga, se llama DLZ, para leer la información de allí. Y Zentyal no interfiere con esa zona. Si tú añades registros en la interfaz, se añaden allí, pero Samba, cuando haces la migración, no elimina nada.
Y han encontrado, me parece raro que puedas hacer la migración, puedas manipular los datos, tengas acceso y no puedas limpiar otros registros que tengan que ver. Además están bien clarificados, ¿no? Es decir, el nombre de dominio.
Sí, es lo mismo que se podría escribir un script perfectamente para hacer eso. Le pasas el nombre de un controlador de dominio y se carga todo. Otra cosa es que hay que ir con pies de plomo porque si borras lo que no es, puedes tener muchos problemas.
Es que no hayáis desarrollado el script, porque aparentemente ese script, si se puede desarrollar, no puede ser muy complicado. Es un script producido, es decir, lo que tú has hecho manualmente a un script te cuesta hacerlo 2 segundos. ¿No?
Probablemente, pero no.
¿Dónde está la complicación?
Simplemente no lo hemos escrito todavía. Por lo que te digo, es preferible no borrar nada que pueda causar problemas. Es preferible ser plenamente consciente de lo que estás haciendo cuando le tocas las tripas a Active Directory.
Okay, let's try to switch back to English, which is the...
Okay.
But I guess that you plan to have something like that, I mean, to still ease the migration further?
What I really want to test is to make the demote work on the Windows machines. I have done progress. Now I'm able to achieve a more advanced state in the demotion progress, but still is not working. There are some missing attributes in the domain DNS zones and forest DNS zones partition that are not found. But we prefer to invest the effort improving Samba rather than writing a script, because I think this is the last problem with the demotion process. Solve the replication of these two partitions for domain DNS zones and forest DNS zones. Any more questions?
For example, in a large installation, you have more than one domain controller. Do you need to do this process for each Zentyal server? Do you want to change?
No. If you want to replace each domain controller with a Zentyal box, you join to the domain, all of them, and then you only have to execute this script in one. You have to transfer the roles only to one server. This script transfers all the roles to the same server, but you can choose to balance the roles between the domain controllers. But you have not to perform this on all domain controllers. Yeah, that's it. Join all of them to the domain, transfer the roles, synchronize the sysball, and clean the metadata. That's all.
Okay. More questions about migration? Scenarios you may have in mind?
Hola, en español. Mi inglés es peor que el español de Dan. Yo vi aquí que estabas migrando de un Microsoft dominio a un Zentyal, pero con nombres distintos, definiciones distintas, o sea, dominios distintos. El nombre del dominio era otro. ¿O era el mismo?
Era el mismo.
No es posible entonces hacer una migración totalmente transparente donde yo tengo la misma definición, los mismos nombres, solo apagar un equipo y prender el otro.
No le puedes cambiar el nombre al dominio. El dominio de esta máquina es kernel.build.lan. A la hora de migración no puedes cambiarle el nombre al dominio. Te unes a un dominio existente y eliminas un servidor que existía. Durante este proceso no es posible renombrar el dominio.
Ya. O sea, no es tan transparente como apago y enciendo el de acá. Porque esos pasos de eliminar esas entradas son necesarias.
Exacto. A día de hoy sí. Cuando podamos hacer un demote en el servidor Microsoft, simplemente será tan fácil como unirte a un dominio y ejecutar el demote en el Windows Server, y eso ya automáticamente limpiará todos los metadatos que hagan falta.
Okay.
A día de hoy es un poquito más complicado.
Listo, gracias.
Have more questions? Scenarios? Someone may ask you, I mean, are you going to publish the detailed steps of this procedure?
The steps?
Yeah.
I have them recorded in video, so we can publish the video and the presentation also.
Is the very much needed. Okay. Anything else? Okay. So thank you very much, Samuel. Okay.